27?
27. Still here.
Still here?
Still doing it.
Season 2?
Is this season 2?
I don't know.
Maybe. Let's say it's season 2. Wait, maybe I'll change the cover.
Ooh,
Oh, I know.
I know. It's exciting. Here come the views.
So the topic is manifesting, and not necessarily from like the standpoint of like how do you manifest money. That's not what this is. Like the actual true energy or true meaning or true application of manifesting, both from like the actual standpoint and then let's say a dream state standpoint if you want to manifest something into the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, anytime I think the word manifesting has I've said this before, or you and I said this before, has come on to like mean like this like magic for the future. Like I'm gonna create, cars and houses and and then the idea is if I put enough energy and thought and basically almost like obsess over it, then thus, you know, that what is this saying? Like thinking like brings on like energy, right? And so like thinking that I'm gonna get a house will get a house. And it's not necessarily incorrect,
Yeah.
but it is not what actually manifesting is. And so that's what I wanted to touch on. Maybe at first, like start out of what is it, how manifesting has always been part of our life and is part of our life. And in fact, the essence of our being is manifesting. So when somebody's taking manifestation workshops or trying to manifest something, they're like, oh, well, let me learn how to manifest. The truth is, we manifesting second to second, day to day, our entire life thus far has been nothing but manifestation.
Yeah.
Yeah, except that, and this is maybe the part that I want to address, not to get too negative about it, but because we did not realize that we were manifesting to the fullest extent, we have manifested some crappy ass shit.
That's true. That is very true.
And so that is what I want to touch on to begin with.
It works both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the easiest and most obvious example of that comes to my mind of manifesting in a negative way is illness. Like if you think, oh my gosh, the flu's going around, COVID's going around, oh, it's all going around, I'm gonna get it, I know I'm gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
Yeah. Doomsday manifest.
Yes, doomsday manifesting. You think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my money in the stock market, this and the banks that, and the I don't know, the loans and the IRA, whatever. You just come up with, you catastrophize. People do. I have in the past.
You have to.
And aspects of that end up coming true.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes exactly.
Sometimes
if you
exactly
spend
that.
enough time manifesting the doomsday story, that exact story will play out.
Yeah. I mean, manifesting doesn't work like, oh, I'm going to picture my, Ferrari. Okay, I keep picturing and then a Ferrari, is dropped off at your door. It isn't like that. It's like, to me, it seems like, it's like aspects of it that, oh, what does a Ferrari represent to you? Wealth and flamboyance and show-offiness and whatever. I don't know what it represents to someone who's manifesting Ferrari, but the aspects of that might come into your life, not necessarily a Ferrari itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, so this is how I see manifesting, and you can chime in on your end. Manifesting is basically resonating an energy, but energy in our case, in our three-dimensional physical interpretation, is a thought, right? Our thoughts generate energy. So when you start to generate a thought, that generates like-minded energy, if I want to use the colloquial term here. And thus your entire being, your thought process, your energy is manifesting really your reality. And so if your manifestation about the Ferrari is like, oh, think of how I feel when right? Because usually what you think about, I don't have an interest in getting a Ferrari, but I am, let's, but if I run with that, I go, oh, if I'm driving a Ferrari, I will feel like I'm awesome, and people will look at me and they'll go, oh, that person is awesome. I'm assuming Ferrari manifestation is very much of how I come across to
Yeah,
others.
that's
It's
what I meant
more of
by
an
right, the
outside
show
appearance.
offiness.
Yeah. And so I would think, and this is how I would interpret manifestation. In that instance, what you're vibrating is the desire to be perceived a specific way, like rich, well off, fancy, cool.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what other terms are. But the truth is, if you're desiring a Ferrari because you want to come across as the ways I just mentioned, the truth is, deep down inside, that is an insufficient
You just don't feel it.
perception of self because you don't
Exactly,
feel
exactly.
cool or awesome or rich or fancy. And then thus you don't feel that. And the way you're trying to get that validation in the world is your idea is like, oh, if only I can have a Ferrari, then all of my problems will be solved, right?
Yeah.
Right. A lot of times it's just like, oh, if I can just
Only gonna
get
have
that.
whatever the next thing is.
Yeah. And so if you spend enough time denying yourself the fact that you feel not fancy and not rich and not cool and not posh, then the reality, you know, if you spend time not vibrating that frequency, right, which will be actually driving you down into more of that. I say that for the reason of you actually uncovering the fact that you feel that way. But if you shut that off and go, oh no, I'm going to pretend like I'm posh, and then the poshness will come to me. So, in a way, you will actually trick the system, I guess, and could potentially generate a quite literal Ferrari somehow in your life. Because the universe will give it to you to see that that Ferrari will still not make you feel
Right.
everything you're not feeling.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of that trying to trick the system going on with
With current
what people
manifestations.
think of as manifesting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I deep down I feel like I'm missing X, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Love, attention, I'm not worthy, I'm not cool, I'm not whatever. And I think that Y out there in the world, a Ferrari, a house, a job, a spouse, whatever, is gonna fix that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah.
It might band-aid it temporarily, but it's not gonna fix how you feel inside.
Yeah.
And so it's like the fact that you still feel that way
Mm-hmm.
might manifest up more of that.
It will manifest more of it, and it will continue to manifest and amplify in some other way.
Yeah.
While you're still manifesting your Ferrari.
Yeah.
Right. So you're cloaking the problem. You're pushing it away, even though at the end you might be completely thrilled and satisfied the day you get the Ferrari. But out a month later, unfortunately, and that's a stretch. Realistically, like 2 weeks later, you go, "Oh, they didn't do anything at all that I thought it would."
Yeah.
Do.
I mean, you
Because you're tricking the system, so you're still getting what you want. In this type of now, there's just one type of aspect of manifestation that I'm addressing now about this. Quite literally, physical satisfaction of an internal, deeper problem of you not feeling rich or posh or awesome enough, right? And then you're seeking that justification in the
Yeah.
world. Yeah, and so energy, like mind energy, does draw like mind outcomes. Is it wrong to be manifesting Ferraris when in fact you feel like a total dump inside? I would say no. I mean, right, run with it. Uh, but at the same time, maybe give it a dual set process of while you're manifesting the reality opposite of lack, you're still trying to address on the inside of what is it that is causing you to feel that.
I think that's the key.
Yeah. So still, do not move away from manifesting Ferraris. Do not move away from manifesting, the story of your life that you dream. As long as you take the time, right, to go on the deep end of it and go, well, why do I need the Ferrari? And the answer might be, guess what? It's the awesomest car I've been dreaming about all of my life, and this will just if in this lifetime I can experience driving a Ferrari, that would be the best. And then to say that I own one would even be, icing on the cake. And that's fine. But at the end, recognize why you were trying to manifest Ferraris.
Yeah.
Right.
I read the what was the book? The Abraham? She channeled Abraham. Hicks.
Hicks. Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the book. The Law of One, or is that no?
Probably Law of One.
Maybe Law of
Law
One.
of Attraction, maybe.
Law of Attraction.
Law of
Law of Attraction. I read that one, and I mean, it's.
Wait, maybe talk about what the concept is.
I mean, the concept is, yes, like attracts like. So if you are thinking positive stuff, more positive stuff's going to happen to you. If you're thinking negative stuff, more negative stuff's going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not written in a negative way, but there's almost this like, watch out for your negative thoughts type of thing. Which, on one hand, yes, it is certainly important to be aware of your negative thoughts, because that they're there for a reason, and they should be allowed to flow and released and all that. But you don't need to be. A reading of the book could very easily turn into, watch out, almost be afraid of your negative thoughts.
Like, don't think you're negative.
Yes, suppress your negative thoughts. Don't think your negative thoughts.
Is that what they were trying to say? Is it just you could interpret it that way?
I think you could interpret it that way. I don't think that was their goal. And it's the easy way around that is suppress your negative thoughts and only think positive thoughts. Everything's perfect. Everything's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a dangerous path, I think. I think that's because it kind of lulls you into this sense of everything's fine. All these problems that you actually have, we're just going to ignore those, and we're going to pretend that it's Ferraris all day, every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's just when I was reading it, I'm like, I can see how someone could read it and take it that way, and to be afraid of your negative thoughts and suppress them any way you can,
mm-hmm.
instead of dealing with them. See our episode on letting go. I haven't actually flashed anything for that, but it's in the show notes.
Yeah, Louise Hay with Hay House also kind of ran without same concepts. She channeled her kind of in-depth teaching of thinking positive thoughts and how our thoughts drive our reality. Now, I'm not familiar enough with what her approach was to negativity, right? But at the depth, like whenever you channel, if you're channeling content, right, both on the Abraham or whatever her name is. I know it's Hicks, but I don't remember what her first name is. And then Louise Hay channeled her content. It's strange because the idea of us feeling small or feeling bad or feeling inadequate or not enough is almost not a thing, but at the same time comical to them, right? And I say them like, I channel a different entity, let's say, than the Abraham or than what Louise Hay channeled. But when you channel the beings of light, their message is just so overwhelming and positive, and there is nothing but this immense exploration of love that even the negative thought that you would have to them is love. Do you know what I mean? There's no separation into duality whenever you channel beings of light. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so when they say, when you channel the content of where you're manifesting realities, I think what they're asking for is just like, look deep inside of you and recognize that you are love and your essence of love and your essence of creation. And there's nothing but pure consciousness, let's say, but that pure consciousness is pure love.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that message sits right here. And it overlooks us on a three-dimensional sense with everything that falls into this place as beautiful.
Right. It I think a lot of people think of it as, oh, I you know, I have all this negative stuff, I'm depressed, I'm addicted, I'm broke, I'm whatever, all these negative things that they identify with.
Mhm.
And then if only I could find something good.
They made me feel other.
Yeah. But in reality, it's, oh, you are a whole good person. And then you've just, shoveled some of this crap on top of it.
Mhm.
And you just need to dust that off to reveal what's always been there the whole time.
Yeah. And same thing with manifesting. If you go, "Oh, well, I'm not lovable or I'm not good and I don't have a Ferrari and I don't have good friends and I don't have good wife and my job sucks and all of that," right? We tend to do what we tend to do in our dualistic approach to three-dimensional reality is we tend to have a scale where we go, all of those things are bad, but then thus the opposite of those things by default would have to be good, right? And sometimes we don't actually take time to go, well, wait, what is the opposite of here's my branding of bad job. What is the opposite of a good job, right? And I know this is kind of like a rudimentary thing, silly thing as job, right? And we go, oh, well, if I only had more free time and if like I had a better boss and I made more money and you have all of these things
Yeah.
that are blanket statements towards something that is actually deeper than that. I'm
Right.
not fulfilled in my life, period.
Yeah.
And the job is how I think fulfillment might come about.
Right.
Right.
And for some people, I guess they may be, have a deep sense of fulfillment from their job, but not necessarily everybody.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I'm saying this, if you don't like your job and then you're like, oh, if only, but
Yeah.
we do not dig down deep enough to go what that only, if it is like, if only I had more money. Well, is this job the reason why you don't have more money?
Right.
If somebody doubling your salary right now what would it solve, right? Like, remember when you asked me when I was digging down into my purpose and I was like, you're like, well, would like you being I don't know, the most fulfilling in your life as far as, let's say, your YouTube channel interpretations
Yeah.
go would be the most fulfilling.
Right.
And I said they're going, no,
Right.
because the core of the issue is much, much deeper. And here we are addressing the surface
Right. It's like
side effects.
Right. I had jobs that I did not like. And it's like if you added a zero to my salary, it's like, oh, okay, that makes it a lot better in the money department. And now it may be worth it to go suffer for 10 times more money.
Yeah.
But it's no more fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right.
But in that case, you're thinking about money.
Yeah. In that case, it's like, okay, well, I'm not, I don't like trading my time for, X dollars an hour, X dollars a year.
Yeah.
But I will do it for 10X. But you're still not fulfilled. You're still, to some degree, begrudgingly going in and going, oh, it's too much money to give up at that point. Golden handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
And, on one hand, that's a position to be in. But on the other hand, you do feel trapped. I've felt trapped and I'm like, oh, I don't know that I can go anywhere else and make this much money and work the amount that I'm working.
Yeah, but
and have this much free time. But at the same time, what I'm doing is I don't enjoy it at all.
Yeah, but we spend way too much time talking about all the jobs that we have already had. So I don't want to get distracted on
Okay.
that. What I want to say is, instead of looking at the surface deep issues of here's this thing and I identify this thing as to be the root cause of all of my problems, realistically speaking, this one thing has nothing to do with the root cause of your problems. And the root cause of your problems,
It might be a symptom.
No, in
Or
fact,
an effect, not a cause. It might be an effect.
in effect, from the deep underlying vibrational extrapolation into your manifestation.
Yeah.
right? The job is actually manifestation of something deeper in order to bring it into light. Guess what? Here's you in three-dimensional space being unhappy, period. And we can brush it off, but that job is a manifestation of a deep underlying, actually the root cause of dissatisfaction.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, deep down, you feel like you're not enough and not respected and this and that. And then you have a job that reflects aspects of that. There's
Yeah.
Bill who's just, mean to you every day, and your boss, just, passes you over for promotions, and I don't know.
Yeah. I mean that's kind of
It's
like the
it's
rudimentary
easy.
easy fruits to pick and
Yeah.
to identify.
But it's not, people have the cause and effect backwards. You're not unhappy and feel disrespected because of the job. You have that job because you feel that way in the first place. If I'm trying to think of someone who is just exudes confidence.
Like someone in the business world or what?
Just anybody, somebody with just extreme confidence, who's not gonna be, you know, uh, disrespecting everything. If they had that exact same job, they wouldn't be. They wouldn't. It wouldn't make them feel um, disrespected. They wouldn't be disrespected, or they wouldn't accept the disrespect. Right? They would.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. It just wouldn't happen because of how they feel on the inside.
Yeah. But inside is a vibrational frequency of our deepest, most
Yes.
innate interpretation of us.
Yes.
We're building our
Yeah.
reality based on how
And
we
that, yes,
interpret
we
ourselves.
literally vibrate that out, and what you see is a mirror of what you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything in your life and everything that will happen into the future and everything that has happened thus far has been basically an outside representation of the deep, honestly, in my case, convoluted perception of what I am and what I'm not, right? If I came here and I didn't speak English to begin with, right? And I will give this example. Then to begin with, I go, oh, well, I can't really do anything because I do not speak the language, right? Now I'm 13, of course, at the time. So I know that's a very naive thought to think, right? But until I speak the language and until I feel comfortable, oh, I can't do much, right? And now, from the logical standpoint, go, well, I guess in a way that's true, right? But that was a limiting mindset that I have developed by going, guess what? I have this limitation. I have this handicap that I don't speak English. And thus I live in the country that speak English. So there's this whole slew of things that are completely inaccessible to me because I don't speak the language. Is it true in any way? I mean, maybe in some way, yes. Let's say, I do not understand biology because it's all reading. But from the other standpoint is, did I have to have that mindset, right? Now, in my case, I had perseverance to push through and to go, oh, guess what? I'm going to learn the language so then I can do everything I need to do, which is more of a fighter mindset of like that manifesting something different, right? As opposed to questioning why I'm even developing that belief, right?
Yeah.
And that belief structure is like, I'm using the fact that I do not speak English as an excuse of why in the United States of America at age of 13, I cannot not going to do certain things.
Yeah.
Right? But that extends from my childhood where guess what? Oh, you're a girl, right? Or, you're poor or you are, I will not go into political conversations here, but you're this or this or that. And then thus you brand yourself as that category. And because I'm that category, I'm unable to do things.
Yeah.
But the root cause is deep down inside, for some reason, I feel like I'm not going to be able to accomplish X, Y, and Z. And then thus, I am now using excuses in everyday reality here. I'm generating this reality where I'm fulfilling how I feel deep inside. And that's what our life is. Our life is we have very subconscious, uncovered sets of circumstances that we believe that we will or will not do, that we are or we are not, that stems from ages, those limitations originate at age 5, 6, and 7, right? And then everything that we have preset before just will basically manifest itself out. If you grew up in scarcity, like I grew up in scarcity, right? Then thus scarcity will propagate all through my life. I will manifest scarcity because deep down at the early age, I somehow, took a concrete mix, poured scarcity down there as a belief, and then literally buried it. And so I don't even understand right now that I am walking in scarcity. I'm not working in scarcity right now, but I used to all my life. But it took me forever to actually figure out that my net vibration, the key vibrational form of me, actually vibrates scarcity. And then thus manifesting is just having that come into fruition in this life.
Yeah.
In every circumstances. Regardless of me living in Ukraine or regardless of me being an American, regardless of me knowing English or not knowing English.
Yeah.
Or having money or not having money. That scarcity will always be there. As long as I don't identify it and dig deep enough. And so maybe that's the second part of the manifestation that I wanted to discuss is it is not about denying what we feel. It's actually quite the opposite. It's discovering what we actually feel and then letting it go.
I mean, that sums it up.
Should we wrap up the podcast?
Shortest one ever.
Yeah, and so what we don't understand within our life and what the boogeyman, let's say, out there says is don't think negative thoughts because negative thoughts propagate like-minded actions or like-minded outcomes. And that is true, but the negative thoughts will always continue to exist. And denying them will not solve anything at all other than just like us have go la 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 la. But in reality is we can only go la 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 for so long, but those thoughts will still attempt to push themselves up.
If you bury those negative thoughts, they'll just pressure cooker themselves up until they explode in some unpleasant way.
Yeah.
Versus, basically, if you can let them go, you can open the valve and just them out. Weird metaphor, but yeah.
Yeah. I also say, since we recorded the last podcast, maybe this is the time to bring this in, is it is okay to also recognize that as a default, you're going to vibrate some negative thoughts that you're just not able to let go.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the negative thoughts. Everybody has negative thoughts, negative things, and that's just part of being a human. It's not the goal. I don't think the goal is to, get rid of all negative thoughts, get it down to zero. It isn't that. It's to have the type of life where you're able to deal with them in a constructive manner. Because you will always have them. Everybody will always have them.
Yeah. And as they come to the surface, what you can do is, I think the big part is this denial, like, oh, I cannot think them because then I'll manifest them in my life, right? That fear aspect.
Yeah.
Acknowledging the fact that they exist, giving them space, right? And then allowing them to be your truth. Just say, oh yeah, I'm afraid of these things. Will I always be afraid of them? I don't know. But currently I'm afraid of these things. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with fear right now. I'm struggling with scarcity right now. You can even go, it's coming from this root cause. I understand that it is actually not the reality, but they're still vibrating outside of me.
Right.
And then allow them to be there, but at the same time recognize that is something that I feel right now in this moment, but it's not actually my truth.
Right.
There's just something I feel right now.
Yeah, yeah.
That is what being human is. And so when people channel, when I channel, right, and you raise higher in your vibrational frequency, you almost have an endearing aspect to look at those negative thoughts. Does that make sense? You see them from a childlike standpoint and approach and go, oh, how quaint, right? Or how beautiful it is to have this thought, right? To be a human and have this thought of lack and of scarcity, and to live this reality, actually thinking it and believing it. Uh, and then you can go back down and go, oh look, I really believe it, and I really think it. But then you can raise back up higher and go, oh wow, this is my human experience right now into this world. And so there's almost this gameplay, if I can say that, to go up and down and be able to play with the depth and the reality of being in scarcity and poverty, malnourished, without food, and then go back up and go, oh wow, look, that's what I am right now. That is what I'm thinking right now. That is what I'm afraid of right now. That is what my truth is right now. And I don't know. To me, it sounds like escapism, but I look at it as differently.
Yeah. I mean, you could almost interpret it that way, but there's a subtle difference.
Yeah, the subtle difference is you see the beauty of the life that you're manifesting as your truth. And what it does, I say that how I see it, but I want maybe everybody to recognize that is what everyone's life is. We are beings of higher light and higher self, looking upon ourselves from up high, really truly believing this gameplay that is lack and poverty and scarcity and fear and anger and whatever you want to call it. And thus the manifestation is basically that reality coming forth into this truth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you learn to step back, and then manifestation can be seen as propagation of like-minded frequency. But if you step back and go into that state of Zen, that meditative state of like being, the drive behind manifestation, or like the desire to manifest Ferraris, almost dissipates and goes away.
Right.
And it becomes this silly,
yeah, because it's like, oh,
concept that you misunderstood all your life, but now you see it for what it is.
Right. There's a piece that comes and it's like, oh, having a Ferrari, not having a Ferrari doesn't change that. It may be fun to have one, but it's fun for the experience of it. It's not, oh, now everybody gets to look at me, Mr. Ferrari man.
Yeah. Well, you see through all the points of lack that would,
all the lies you tell yourself.
Lies you tell yourself that would require you to have a Ferrari, and all the problems that it would solve. You see through that the second you go deep inside of yourself and recognize, oh, guess what? I'm just living in lack, and I'm living in thinking that I'm not enough, and I'm living in thinking that my life is somehow limited because I don't have a Ferrari, as opposed to thinking, I think my life is somehow limited, period, regardless of the Ferraris or not.
Mm.
I don't know why whenever I think of a Ferrari, I think of like that lime green color.
The
Lamborghini was
Lamborghini.
The
Lamborghini would be a better example because I think those are even more flamboyant.
I don't know.
Cherokee. Wow, that's a bright one.
Yeah, like that lime green. It's a pointless green, but that would be the most flamboyant green,
right?
To
look at
express
me green.
The look at me green, right? Like that would be the more fancy,
right?
The more bright something is.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying there's not
that's on brand for that
No,
YouTube channel.
Well, no, it's on point
But-
for Lamborghinis because the person, they have identified the target market, and they have identified the pain body of that target market.
Yeah.
And then they're milking it to the full
Yeah.
extent.
Just,
you know what I mean?
Just a black or a white car. It's like, well,
Yeah, it's not going to do right. That's why you have to have them in all those colors.
Do you remember the fellow who had it was a bright orange 911, and he's like he sold it and got a different color one. He's like, it was just too much.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because all of a sudden I stopped seeing that the bright orange one. He's like, yeah, I can't have a bright orange one.
There's some, I mean, I will not discount the fact that there's something to, colors have energetic
Right?
interpretation. So if you're wanting to bring in more liveliness and more
Yeah.
excitement in your life, picking a car, really
No,
decorating your house in exciting colors.
I wanted a very bright yellow car.
Yeah. But that you know
But that,
what you're trying to do is you're trying to insert happiness into your being
yeah,
through color. And there's nothing wrong with that because in a sense that is manifestation.
yeah,
If you're feeling down, if you consume foods that are bright in color, right? By default, that is just kind of like 101 of to generate happiness. You're literally inserting happy colors, happy vibes into your being. And same thing with, house decor, same thing with color of clothing, right? Like you, right, with me, bright pink here, right? Like you inserting or you're trying to, it's either you feel that already and then you're expressing it in your color, or you don't feel it and then you're trying to bring that in. And both of those work. And that is forms of manifesting, both from the inner manifesting out with putting out the color that you already feel on the inside, or two, like that, kind of what I've been saying lately, fake it until you make it, putting on the color that you
yeah,
want to feel.
yeah,
And both of those are great examples. Now, I say that, but again, with a dot, dot, dot caveat of recognize why, right? Right. Recognize, oh, I don't feel happy. I don't feel great. So a remedy is to eat a banana, right? And to put on yellow jumpsuit, right? And to I don't know, whatever else yellow,
yeah.
right?
And there are just times that, some colors jive with you and others don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this concept of us within us that I don't know, maybe this is a deeper way to look at this, but I'll bring it in. This might be like a whole other subject, but if we come here on this earth to fulfill a specific type of experience, right? We come here predestined really by our own higher self, right? Our soul came here to have a specific type of experience. And then thus our vibration and frequency at the baseline will have us manifesting our reality for the desired outcome of this lifetime, right? Meaning, if we came here to experience pain and suffering, and that is what we came here to do, sometimes you need to look that deep to go, wait, is this my soul contract on this level to come here and then choose utmost pain and suffering, utmost despair, and then thus live, let's say in our case, 40 years having experienced that, right?
Right.
And then there's this part of you that could recognize that, go, that is my soul's purpose on this earth, is to experience the worst of the worst, right? Or even if it's not of the worst, so it's to experience lack of love, or to experience lack of fulfillment, or lack of feeling purpose, or to exhaust myself to death and basically kill myself by overworking, right? Whatever those things might be, you can look at it as the karmic cycle of this lifetime. And I want to say, then the life will manifest that, right? Your life quite literally has been a manifestation of what the soul came here to do.
Yeah.
But I want to point out, at any point in your life, whether you're 40 years old, 20 years old, 30, 60, 80, 90, you can see through that fulfillment, or you can see through that contract and choose to awaken to an idea that that is and that has been your purpose thus far.
Renegotiate your contract.
Yeah, you almost can renegotiate your contract.
Yeah. You go, okay, I realized what it was. That was
A lesson learned.
That was a lesson learned. I am ready to do something else now.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I was going to say that was fun, but it wasn't fun.
Yeah. And you can almost continue to live that contract within conscious awareness that you're still going to continue to experience sparks of that and moments of that
Sure.
within that. And you go, oh, look, here is how I'm still even fulfilling or living the old contract. I'm still living in a human form, and I'm still continue to know what suffering feels like, but now from an observational standpoint of an outside going, oh, look, here's this suffering or here's that suffering. And here's how I can separate from suffering and now take on this different form.
Yeah.
So you're negotiating your contract, but you're negotiating your trajectory or angle of the contract. Does that make sense? You're not leaving your karmic path. You're pivoting the angle at which you look at your karmic path. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Lately, I will bring this in just because it relates to you and I, but I will give context for the podcast purposes. My energy shifted, right? My energy shifted from an old energy to the new energy. Now, realistically, I'm not living a different lifetime, right? And I'm not living a different set of histories. That's histories that still the same, that is still something that has been identified as Tanya thus far. But what is changing is how I see that history and how I perceive that history and what that history means to me right now. And how that history continues to play as my manifestation forward.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, I've gone through that myself. It was maybe slower and more subtle, but yours has been more acute. But yeah. No, it is like, the history as it has been written doesn't change, but the interpretation of the history changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer, oh, woe was me, I was the victim of this, blah, 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 blah. It was, oh, yes, these things happened, but it's less these things happened to me, and it's more like I was a participant in these scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
There's more accountability and responsibility for your life.
Because you manifested it.
Yeah.
You see that you are the manifester. You are the holder of the torch.
Yeah.
That is your life.
And I think that accountability and responsibility come along with the realization that you are manifesting literally all of your life.
Reality, yeah.
And it's like people hear that and like, well, I'm unhappy. I'm not manifesting this. To some degree, you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody wants a Ferrari. Everybody wants more money and a better job and a better boss. These are just everybody wants that. But people are in the situations that they're in, at least to some degree, in order to get something out of it.
To learn a lesson,
a lesson, or have a specific experience or something. And not all those experiences are great. I've had a lot of not great experiences in my life.
Yeah.
But I can look back and go, oh, there was a lesson there. And while that experience was not fun, and maybe it was painful, and maybe it was expensive, and maybe I got hurt, or maybe whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can look back and go, okay, now I can see how that fits into the larger picture. And sometimes it takes years or decades to see how that fits. And sometimes you may never know how certain things, oh, I broke my arm. How does that? I don't know. Maybe you'll never know. Maybe you will know. Maybe you know, oh, I was working too hard, and this is a way to slow me down so that I can stop and smell the roses instead of wasting my life working. Maybe there's any number of things it could be, but you get this a more of a perspective on it, and it becomes less of the universe happening to you, and more of you are an active participant in the universe. And there's a responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah. No, but responsibility. And then if you recognize that responsibility, I think it makes it easier to pause at any one moment, especially if something's happening in your life that you don't want. You're like, oh, why the heck is this happening?
Why is this happening to me?
Oh, no. In this case, you would pause and you would go, what is this trying to show me, teach me?
Yes.
Or if this is the repetitive cycle, what is it that I'm feeling that is causing the same experience to come back in over and over and over into my life? And it's never, it's really, this is amazing, I think, because the universe gives us the same set of experiences with different people. And then it is super easy to go, wait, this is my life. And the second you go, yeah, but if I'm in charge and if I'm the manifester and if I am trying to learn a lesson and manifesting is there as facilitation of something that I feel deeper, what is it that I feel deep inside of me that is causing this repetitive notion of this outcome?
Yeah.
And so it provides a great, like see-through opportunity to actually sit down and, it's going to be painful and it's going to be difficult, and it's not going to be an easy process to go, why in the heck am I
Yeah.
keep on experiencing the same stuff?
And it's
Why in the
gonna
heck am I all of my relationship end this way?
Yeah, and it's gonna turn out that it's like, oh, to a large degree, it's your own fault.
Well, no,
It's
it will be your own
it's
fault,
to
but not like your fault and then thus you're to blame and it ends there.
right. It's in as much as you bear a lot of responsibility in that happening to you. There's this I had this pattern that repeated over and over and over where I would end up in this business situation with someone who would just completely take advantage of me, and I didn't have a voice in this situation, and I couldn't stand up for myself. I mean, over and over and over.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, I see what the lesson is there. Now I see. But it took a long time to see that, I didn't have any respect for myself.
Mhm.
Um and now, I don't think I would allow myself to get into that type of a situation again with a person like that.
Yeah. It's when it's happening in the front of you, it is really, really difficult
Yeah, because it's like,
to
oh, it's
see
it's this
through
guy's
it.
fault. He's the jerk.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, yes, he is a jerk, but I wiggled myself into this business relationship with this jerk, just
Y
like the jerk before him, and just like the jerk before him.
yeah. 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 The fact that this is happening as a repetitive
Right?
cycle lies deeper into why did you come into this
Yeah.
position to begin with?
If you imagine this person who has the self confidence and isn't going to be disrespected, and they wouldn't get into a relationship with this person, but if they were, it would either end really quickly because it's like, okay, well, this is not the type of business that I want to be in, or it would change to be, well, yeah, it's not going to work like this. You're not going to, you know, not pay me or whatever the situation is.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe the right thing to say here is manifesting is kind of like one step removed from 3D,
Mm,
right? We think of manifesting like, oh, I'm going to manifest this 3D object. Well, no, it's one step removed because it's you take the 3D, which is a physical interpretation or physical manifestation, and you're actually manifesting from one step in, which is your vibrational truth, right? Does that help to kind of make it look or make it seem
I
more
think so. Yeah.
reasonable to where if you're vibrating in this case negative, I'm not enough and I don't have a voice and I will let people walk all over me because I don't have a voice, then the manifestation in this case, one step removed, is guess what? I will walk into all the scenarios within my life where I will be tested to have a voice, to feel like I'm not enough and walk away from a scenario that does not align with that truth.
Mhm.
But because the truth is I'm not enough and I don't have a voice and I'm not going to walk away when somebody disrespects me, that is the reality,
Yeah.
right? And the second, it's almost like the second you recognize of like, well, wait, if I'm walking in vibrating a frequency of no, I'm not enough, and what I'm receiving is I'm not enough, then by default, I end up being in the exact position, in the exact time, all through my life. How beautiful is that? To teach me either the opposite or reinforce what I already feel, which is really not true, but you
Yeah. Yeah.
shouldn't be feeling that you are
Yeah.
feeling.
You end up in yes, it is. You end up in one or the other. A situation that goes, oh, you still feel this way, and we're going to show you how you still feel this way, or you have grown past this, and we're going to show you how you've grown past this.
Yeah.
or give you an opportunity to
pivot.
test, if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah, yeah. So after you even, I will say this, after you recognize your own pitfall of like, guess what? I'm the type of human being that lets others walk all over me and disrespect me, and I don't have a voice, and I don't feel like I'm all that great, and therefore I subject myself to people who will treat me that way, right? That's basically what that was. Is even once you recognize that within yourself and you feel like, oh, okay, I know that is now, so I'm done. The universe will test you. Right? They will give you like, okay, I say universe, your own higher self, your soul self, your karmic purpose will test you. You go, okay, we will bring forth a situation that is still that and give you an opportunity, honestly, to feel better about yourself, having to the first time stand up and reject something that you have allowed to happen, let's say for the 40 years.
Right.
I had a scenario, um, I don't think I've brought it on a podcast, but it's applicable. Where I went to meet with a potential customer, and I met, I'm in sales, right? And so in the past, just kind of like as a backstory, I've met probably with hundreds, if not 1,000 of different people throughout my lifetime trying to sell them something, right? So it was, back in the olden days, you actually walked and like called people and they just scheduled appointments and you met them in person.
The olden days.
The olden days. And so I met, let's say hundreds and hundreds of people in my lifetime dealing with them, trying to sell them something. And it's usually, it used to be one thing. And then lately, I guess lately, but for the last 2 decades, so maybe a decade and a half for our company. And for the longest time, I would walk in and then people, sometimes some human beings would just treat me like total shit. Just like you, disrespect me, like not value the service that I'm trying to offer,
Not value you.
and not value me, or even not even value my relationship with the company, which is my company. And then thus try to lowball me, try to diminish
The value, all
the
that stuff.
value,
Yeah.
or, just all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. So same thing as you, total disrespect. And one time I was meeting with an attorney, and I'm trying to think I don't remember what kind of an attorney he was. And I walk in and they have, I will not say anything negative about him, but the perception is I'm high and mighty. But usually, I see through that as a compassion to where usually if you go into law to practice law, you don't feel all that great and you have felt used and abused. And one of the ways to stand up for yourself is to be a lawyer, right? I mean, I consider being a lawyer because literally for those reasons. Um, and I walk in and it is the lawyer and then his wife, who is his office manager, and then his son, who's either paralegal assistant or, or I don't know what his position is, but it's his family, right? And he's treating me like total shit, but he's treating his wife like total shit as well. And I'm seeing the parallels. I am seeing myself as a woman who's being disrespected by a man, but I'm also seeing myself as a service provider, right? In this case, a marketing agency, being disrespected by him as a service provider. But then I'm seeing her being disrespected by him as an office manager, right? As a service provider to him. And there's all these parallels. And I'm seeing this larger picture of like this man is probably, hurt inside and has been hurt, let's say, by other service providers, or is possibly distrusting, or, whatever the pain body is, how it's manifesting onto me, right? From his manifestation standpoint is he thinks I will rip him off, or he thinks I'm not good enough, or he thinks he needs to be hard in order to get something more out of me than
Drive a hard bargain.
like drive a hard bargain, or like be mean to me in order to scare me into this contractual relationship, right?
Mm.
To where I will feel small, and then I will feel like I need it. I don't know what the gameplay is, but I'm seeing that same game extend to his wife. And I just, at the time, I sat there taking it. I just basically kind of like brushed it off, and I would still, it was still nice, and I was still nice, and I
Right.
was still nice. Now, this was about at least 4 years ago. But I saw through it, but I sat there taking it. And I thought about this account since then, that at that point, I was in the point of recognition to where I will not, I am no longer feel like I'm small and I need to bend down and, bend over and take it, like I know that's a crude term, but that was me. That was me for hundreds of clients before that. Like,
Mhm.
all of me was, if somebody's treating me unfairly and if somebody's just rude to me for no reason at all, like this, he's seen me for the first time and he's just rude to me, and he's rude to his wife and he's rude to his son. And this is just what this person's personality is. In the past, I would have thought, oh, I would have went, oh my gosh, I'll still try to get this account. I'm so desperate. I'm in scarcity mode.
Yeah.
I'm in lack. I don't feel good about myself. I will still attempt to get this account.
Yeah.
And I saw through that. But now, it being 4 years later, I go, at this point, I would have not actually sat there for that
You just
hour.
walk, just
I
instead
would
of
have
it,
just
just
immediately walked away.
yeah.
And at the time, it would have been the most appalling thing to me to get up and walk away. But it wasn't, but it wasn't appalling for me to see through the fact that he was being rude. And then just choose not to
Yeah.
even bid on that account.
Yeah.
And so, right, there's growth, there's a progressive growth, right? Let's say that, well, that was, I don't remember exactly when that was, but let's say that was 4 years back, right? That same scenario has multitude of lessons to teach me there of what I'm manifesting. In that case, I decided not to manifest a bad relationship with a client who will disrespect me, but I still chose to manifest the fact that I will sit there and be subject to the ugly words that he was speaking to me,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so the growth is not immediate. It is kind of a progression.
And it sounds like this particular individual, at the very least, didn't respect women.
Yeah.
But it's like if this hypothetical person with full confidence and full, not going to take no shit from nobody, was in that situation. A, if he was treated that same way, sure, he would have left. But B, would he have been treated that same way in the first place? Just vibrating in a different manner.
Like if I vibrated
In a
something
yeah,
different,
right. If what's that motivational speaker guy?
I don't know.
Um,
Tony Robinson?
Tony Robbins. Yeah,
I don't.
I don't know, but he certainly is a commanding presence. Whatever you think about him, if he were to sit down and do and super charismatic, super confident, and do it, he would probably be really good at sales. Would he be treated that same way? Not necessarily because he's a man versus a woman, but whatever he's vibrating, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
but
I don't
yeah,
know. No,
that's
it's interesting. Intuitively, I was going into that meeting. Deep down, somehow I felt that this was going to be a clusterfuck of shit. Like I kind of knew that. So, and I want to point out, so manifesting wise, I do think we walk into scenarios knowing that this here will be something weird and there's going to be a lesson that we will learn.
right.
Deep down, like super deep down subconsciously, we know exactly what we're walking into.
Yeah,
And then, because, now in retrospect, I can look back and I go, yeah, it felt weird. Like
yeah.
things just felt weird.
The sales things that I've been on, they felt weird. I'm like, there's something up with this.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I sat there and I took it too. And because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, half of it's I need the money, and half of it's I'm afraid of saying no and upsetting somebody.
Yeah. And at the time, like, needing the money, I still had some vibration of scarcity within me. But right, but there's almost like a scale. Like, how big of an asshole would somebody had to be in order for me to bend over backwards? Like
Right.
it's always almost like that. And at that time, that scale was still present. But in this case, this was too much of an asshole for me to even engage. And so I was cognitive enough on the scarcity scale to recognize, okay, yeah, I am not walking into this
Right.
situation.
I'll sit here and be polite, but then that'll be the end of it. Versus, screw this, I'm going to walk out.
Yeah.
We had a friend who went to a church, and And
I think we brought this up in the other podcast.
oh, maybe we did. And the sermon was some, love this, love that, but not trans people.
Yeah, we brought this up on another
And
podcast.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But she thought, would it be rude to walk out right now? And it's like,
Yeah, but this is church. It's
this is
hard to
church.
work out, right? Like in church, right? This is the word of God.
Right. And
It is almost
I don't know if
almost
that's
hard.
I don't know if that's just they went there one time, or if that's the church that they go to, or
No, I don't know. But right, it is difficult to walk out on somebody and say,
difficult.
"I'm sorry,
It
this is disrespectful. You're being disrespectful." And yes, this might be a personal thing that you're struggling with, and I'm just an object out. But this is not lined up with me. and I'm walking away from it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a, yeah. I mean, because it's, to me, it almost feels like a slap in the face to the other person to get up and walk out.
I slap in the face, but they're
it's at
slapping
the same
you in
time
the face.
versus, what about me being slapped in the face as I sit here?
Yeah,
right?
they're slapping you in the face.
And I've historically been like, oh no, but their feelings are so much more important than my feelings. I don't want to. I don't want to get up and leave because.
Yeah. In this case, I talked to my dad about this. I'm like, why? And I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but you feel the same way, and you're American, right? We're almost, not only can you not say, I'm sorry, this is rude, because you would never do this. You almost feel like you're the guilty party, feeling bad about somebody else being rude to you.
And it's
right?
like, how did you just word it? I'm sorry, this is being rude. It's like
there's a sorry there.
There's like, oh, I'm sorry, please stop. It's like, why I shouldn't be the one who's sorry. You should be the one who's sorry.
Yeah, but I was raised this way.
There is this, overly delicate, it's not no, it's I'm sorry, no. Like, what are you sorry about?
Yeah, right. It is almost hard for me not to say I'm sorry,
right,
for feeling like you're disrespecting me.
It's like, I mean, in a way, it's a cultural thing. In a way, it's prefacing something with "I'm sorry" it softens it, but I don't think that's the right thing to do.
No, it's
I don't
not.
think saying "I'm sorry" for basically you're saying "I'm sorry for feeling this way." You're apologizing for your feelings.
Yeah, but you almost feel like you should be sorry for feeling this way.
Yeah, because it's like it's such a. To me, saying that is so opposite of how I've lived my entire life that it is that I need to soften it, not for them, but for myself.
Yeah, because to even have a voice for someone who hasn't, it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I want to say that manifesting. I know we're talking about manifesting, but this is kind of how feeling small and not having a voice manifests itself. It is almost impossible for us. I say for us, for those of us who have never had a voice and feel small and are actually kind, soft people, to feel like we can stand up for blatant rudeness, for blatant bullying, for blatant manipulation and lying.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's both of us have been through some really messed up. I guess they're all basically business relationships, but they're really abusive. I mean, abusive even.
Relationships because both. I mean, you and I both living oceans apart were raised by not having a voice or feeling like we don't have a voice or believing somehow inside that we don't have a voice.
Yeah,
right. Is it ever parents' goal to raise their child to think that they don't have a voice?
No,
it's never
of course
that.
Not. I mean.
But just the circumstances of our upbringing or circumstances of how we program that everything that has happened to us causes us to live that, manifest that through our life.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to be rude. That's not my goal. But at the same time, that shouldn't take 100 times more priority over my own feelings.
Yeah. No, sometimes being rude to stand up for yourself is enough.
Yeah.
But to you, that's not even being rude.
You don't even have to be actively rude. You can just go, this isn't working for me. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But that sounds rude.
I almost said, I'm sorry this isn't working for me. I had to catch myself.
But to say that I'm sorry, this is not working for
I'm
me,
sorry.
right? I cannot even help it.
Right? I
Almost is rude. It's
it
almost rude.
I mean, it feels rude saying it, and it would probably feel rude having it said to me. But at the same time,
but someone
it's
who's a
like,
bully, they're like,
but yeah, but
they're plowing
they're
through.
being 10 times ruder than walking out, it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so, but going back, I know we need to wrap up. Going back, that appointment manifested there for a multitude of reasons, right? One, because at some point I was feeling scarcity, and then now I needed to be shown what that scarcity presents in my life. Taking on clients that in no way align with me and in fact are
Yeah.
bullies
Yeah.
and will
Oh,
abuse
could you
me.
imagine how bad it would have been if we had
Oh,
actually
yeah.
got that? It would be a disaster.
Oh no, I didn't even bid on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would have been oh, now I remember who it was, because they were like, "Aren't you going to send a quote?"
Oh yeah, I never responded to him. I said like, "Oh, let me work up a quote and I'll send you a quote." And then the second I left, I'm like, "Guess what? I'm not even gonna. I don't know. This is relevant. This is just kind of continue how the story ended. For those who are curious." And so yeah, I just did not even bid on the contract because it was just like whatever. And so he wrote to me going, I'm getting other quotes. Are you going to send me? But in a very rude way.
Mhm.
And you didn't, when I told you he was being rude, you were, I don't know if you believe me or not. I'm sure you believe me, but you don't know how. But just his email, like the energy of his email was also so rude. And so I didn't even bother bidding on that.
Yeah. It was when we were starting up, there was this hunger is the wrong word. Almost this, it was scarcity,
Scarcity, yeah.
we have a missing salary we need to replace, and we got to get whatever we can.
Yeah.
And, is that the wrong thing to do? I don't know. If we hadn't gotten all those less than desirable clients early
At the
on.
time, they were desirable, but they were desirable under pretense of scarcity.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right? I was vibrating
would it have made
scarcity.
it? I don't know. I mean, uh, there is at least some truth to when you're starting off, you do end up having to take lower class clients, but
Yeah,
but
I
there
don't think
but there is
so.
this, but you don't want to trade off your integrity for it. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
I don't think you take on lower class clients. I think if you're starting out and you're confident and you're not vibrating scarcity for any startup, and you have that confidence and you have, I'm going to accomplish it, not a fake one, but the honest one. You have that drive and tenacity, right? It will come through. And then the clients that will come will reflect one, that tenacity and that belief and that, because we have some clients that came in, they were like, yeah, if I'm thinking I'm the bee's knees, I will get clients who think I'm the bee's knees and they will pay me accordingly. And I will have the best
Yeah.
relationship with those
No,
clients.
there is there's this amazing correlation between the, I don't want to say cheapness of a client, but the respect of a client, and then how much that relationship ends up being worth
Mhm.
versus how respected we are, and then how much is worth. And it just goes up. The more respect that goes both ways in a relationship,
Mhm.
because once you start eroding respect, it erodes both ways.
Yeah.
But if a relationship is just full respect on both sides, it's so much more fruitful.
Yeah.
We get more out of it, they get more out of it,
Yeah.
everybody wins.
Yeah, but the relationship is a manifestation of your internal vibrational
Yeah,
frequency. It
yeah.
is there to teach you what needs to come to the surface. But if it is the most amazing thing ever and it's actually perfect, then you recognize the progress that you have made
Yeah.
in having something different than you did, let's say, with the clients that I had 10, 15 years ago.
And I'm sure this is true not just with business relationships, but with friendships and partners and everything.
Yeah.
Children,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do manifest what we vibrate, but both on all kinds of, I will not say positive or negative, but both on the lack and the abundance. And then the key really is to step in deeper, one step deeper. Don't look at manifestation on the on a rudimentary uh, vibration, but actually look at it on the deepest essence of you. You're manifesting the deepest essence of you, possibly even the secret essence of you that you don't want to face yourself. Not possibly, but actually, you're manifesting the subconscious essence of you. And until you start to acknowledge the subconscious vibration, you won't, you will not change the reality, right? If nothing will be satisfying in your 3-dimensional reality. Even if you're amazing at manifesting with a la la la, earmuffs, because it will not be satisfying until that deep rooted cause of your subconscious is uncovered.
Yeah.
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 Thanks for listening.
Thanks.